All right, so in this video, I want to talk about why I'm an anarchist. And before I get into that, I just want to explain what anarchy is. People get all over get anarchy wrong. They think anarchy is chaos and disorder and destruction. And that's not true. I mean, there can be that under anarchy, but there can also that can exist under any form of society because people are unpredictable and can do and will do horrible can do, are capable of doing horrible things. Um, but if it all depends on the society you set up. And I'm an anarcho-capitalist, which means that our firm belief is private property. Everything relies on private property. You own your property and you can do what you want on your property. And you can do whatever you want as long as you do not violate the non-aggression principles. And people think, oh yeah, but there's going to be no police, no rules. That's not true. Communities will come together and a market could provide a police force. So that's just basic thing. It's not no laws. It's not no rules. It's not wild and chaos. That is possible to happen in an anarchical society, but it also happens in any society. So it just doesn't mean that everything falls to chaos in an anarchical society. But why am I an anarchist? Well, basic simple is government sucks at everything. It violates people's rights. It kills people and can basically do whatever it wants and get away with it. They steal money they steal your money, they steal your property, they just violate civil liberties, and that's not good. And for the longest time, I was a minarchist, all the way back from basically from as long as I remember, I've been a libertarian. I supported Ron Paul in 2012 in the primaries. I ended up voting for Romney because I still thought I was Republican then. But I did support him in the primaries. I thought he was the best one. So my libertarian leaning thought goes all the way back to then. And then I always thought when I started getting more into it, like my sophomore and junior year in college, I always thought I was a minarchist, where it's like, all right, the only thing the government should do is defend your rights. That's the only legitimate role of the government, is to defend people's rights and have a national security and a police force, and then I wish there was like a strict police force that does not, and get rid of all non victimless crimes don't exist, and then the police just will be there to protect you. And that was always my thought of how a society would operate best. And honestly, I still probably think if you can create a small government and just have it stay where all it does is defend your rights and doesn't invoke on them. It's just there to defend your rights, which that's what the government I always thought the government's design was to do, was just to defend your rights. If you just get it to stay there, I still think that's probably the best system of a minarchist government, to just there to defend liberty. But the problem is, and I started thinking this, when I started listening to the Dave Smith podcast, part of the problem, because he made this argument. He said, fine, but name one. He's like, all right, I secede that point. Maybe that's if you can get a government to do that, but every government, as soon as you grant power to the state, the smallest amount of power, the first thing it's going to want to do is grab more power and more power and more. Just see what it can do, and you grant it in. So as soon as you grant it, they're going to just try to get more and more and more. And then we have what we have today, which is the biggest government that tramples on more liberties around the world than probably any other country in human history. They're not so bad, actually, for their own citizens, but they're not good for their own citizens, but they're not as horrible as what they do. A decent job of protecting our liberties sometimes. But say that to some kid over in the Middle East that had a bomb dropped on his school. How are we doing on liberty there? So yeah, they just grab liberty. They just try to seize power, and all governments have always done that. So the best way to stop that from happening and protect individual liberty is by not having a government. So yeah, that's why I've been converted to anarchism. Anybody have any question on anarchy or just libertarian philosophy in general? I would love to have conversations with people about libertarian philosophy, even if you're just a minarchist. Like, you just think the government's too big, it needs to be drastically reduced. Like, have any questions on it? Want to have a conversation and you're talk about it. I love talking about this stuff. Comment below, let me know. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching this video, and I will see y'all next time. Thanks.